fluent, period. What if the real reason you can't speak English fast has nothing to do with your grammar? What if the problem is happening inside your brain before you even open your mouth? Think about this for a second. You understand English. You know words. You studied for months, maybe years. But when it's time to speak, you pause. You hesitate. You translate every sentence in your head. And by the time you're ready to speak, the moment is already gone. Sound familiar? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you're going to understand exactly why this happens and, more importantly, how to fix it. Not with theory, not with complicated rules, but with a system that trains your brain step by step to think in English automatically. Let's start with a simple question. What does it actually mean to think in English? Most people imagine something magical, like one day you wake up and suddenly your brain switches. Now everything is English. No effort. No translation. Just fluency. But that's not how it works. Thinking in English is not a switch. It's a skill, a trainable skill. And here's the real definition. Thinking in English means your brain can find English words quickly, without stopping to search, without translating first. That's it. It's about speed, access, automatic response. Now let's break down what's really happening in your brain. When you translate, your brain is doing two jobs. First, you create the idea in your native language. Then, you convert that idea into English. That second step, that's the problem, because it costs time, energy, focus, and that's why your speech feels slow, heavy, unnatural. But here's the interesting part. There are people who speak English fast, not because they know more grammar, not because they're smarter, but because their brain works differently, faster, more automatically. And this is not opinion. This is backed by research. A recent study looked at something called cognitive fluency. Sounds complex, but it's actually simple. It means how fast your brain can recognize and retrieve words. In other words, how quickly you can find the right word at the right time without thinking too much. And the study found something very important. There are two types of learners. The first group uses controlled processing. These learners stop, think, search for words, check if the sentence is correct. And because of that, they speak slowly, with pauses, with hesitation. The second group uses automatic processing. Their brain doesn't stop to calculate. It recognizes patterns. It retrieves words quickly. And as a result, they speak faster, more smoothly, more naturally. Here's the key point. It's not about intelligence. It's not about knowing more grammar. It's about training your brain to access English faster. So now you understand the real problem. It's not that you can't speak. It's that your brain is still working too hard to find words. Now let's talk about the biggest mistake learners make. They try to force themselves to think in English. They sit there and say, okay, now I will think in English. And nothing happens. Why? Because you can't force automatic processes. You train them. Let me tell you something important. Translation is not your enemy. In the beginning, translation is normal, even useful. But if you depend on it, it becomes a trap, because your brain never learns to skip that extra step. I experienced this myself. While I was learning a second language, every sentence was a struggle. I built everything word by word. I translated everything. And even when I was correct, I felt slow, always behind in conversations, always trying to catch up. Then something changed. Not overnight, not suddenly, but gradually. I stopped focusing only on rules, and I started focusing on exposure, repetition, patterns. I listened more, much more, and something interesting started happening. I began to recognize phrases, not words, phrases, chunks, complete ideas. Instead of building sentences from zero, I started using ready-made pieces. And that changed everything, because my brain didn't need to work as hard anymore. And this is exactly what you need to do. So now let's get practical. Let's talk about how you actually train your brain to think in English. Hashtag, 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 step 1. Stop learning words alone. Your brain doesn't like isolated words. Lists don't help as much as you think, because in real life, we don't speak in single words. We speak in combinations, patterns. For example, we don't say big rain. We say heavy rain. Why? Because that's the natural combination. These combinations are called collocations, and they are powerful because when you learn them, your brain starts predicting the next word. And prediction is speed. Instead of thinking, rain, okay, what adjective do I use? Your brain already knows heavy rain. Instant, no effort. So from now on, don't just learn words. Learn phrases. Learn chunks. Learn patterns. Hashtag, step 2. Train your mouth and ears together. This step is simple, but extremely powerful. It's called shadowing. Here's how it works. You listen to English, and you repeat immediately. Out loud. No pause. No translation. No thinking. Just reaction. At first, it feels strange. You won't understand everything. You might feel lost. That's normal. But something incredible is happening. You're training your brain to respond faster, to connect sound and meaning. Without translation, this is how you move from slow thinking to automatic speaking. Hashtag, step 3. Speak. Even when you're not ready, most learners wait. They wait until they feel confident, until they feel ready. But here's the truth. You'll never feel ready. Fluency is built through use, not preparation. When you speak, even with mistakes, your brain is forced to work faster, to find words faster, to connect ideas faster. And that pressure, that's what creates growth. You don't need a partner. You can speak alone. Describe your day. Talk about what you see. Explain your thoughts. It doesn't matter if it's perfect. What matters is speed, flow, practice. Hashtag, step 4. Flood your brain with English if you want to think in English. You need English inside your head. Every day. Not once a week. Not sometimes. Every day. Listen to stories. Watch videos. Play podcasts. Even if you understand only 60%, that's enough. Because your brain is learning to guess, to predict, to connect meaning directly to English. And that's the goal. No translation. Just understanding. Hashtag, step 5. Accept the process. This is not instant. It's gradual. Some days, you will translate a lot. Other days, less. And one day, without noticing, you'll respond faster. You'll speak without stopping. And you'll realize you didn't translate. That's the moment. That's when your brain changed. Now let me ask you something. What if you could reach that level faster than you think? What if instead of struggling for years, you followed a system that actually works? If you're serious about improving your English, make sure you subscribe right now. Because here at Fluent, we focus on what really works. No useless theory. No wasted time. Just practical steps that get you results. Now let's finish with something important. Thinking in English is not magic. It's not talent. It's training. Your brain is not slow. It's just not trained yet. But if you give it repetition, if you give it exposure, if you give it real use, it will adapt. And when it does, you won't be translating anymore. You won't be thinking about rules. You'll just be speaking naturally, effortlessly, confidently. So starting today, don't ask, how can I think in English? Ask, how can I train my brain today? Because every word you repeat, every phrase you learn, every minute you listen, you're getting closer. And sooner than you expect. English won't feel like a foreign language anymore. It will feel like yours. Fluent.